Welcome back to PowerPivot table version 1.2. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to work with a recommended pivot table, how to use a recommended charts here, and what is a report filter is all about, and how to use a report filter reporting separately in a sheet, how to use the slices that we have already learned in our interactive dashboard, how to use a timeline, and how to use the filter and slicer together to extract data. So without further ado, let's see how to do that. So I'm going to place the cursor in here. If you are looking for a standardized report in a data structure, then recommended pivot table or recommended chart is the way to go to do things. If the data are standardized, then it's make my life a little more easier. Let me place the cursor in one of my sales representative here and then hit a recommended chart first. When I do that, you can see automatically it gives you a line chart based on a date, and you can move the cursor around and you can see some of the units by product, some of the sales by product, some of the cost of goods by product, and you can see a lot more interesting report here from a histogram to a bubble chart and a scatter plot chart, and you can see a lot more recommendation given by the system itself. If you feel that this is a relevant report for you, then you can just add them here, and then now you've got the pivot chart with a table in it. This is how I build the recommended pivot chart, and I can also create a pivot table by using this. So I'm going to place the cursor here and go back to the insert tab. I'm not using a pivot table alt NVT or alt BP to achieve it. I'm going to just go back to the insert tab and click the respective list, and here we go. We get whatever data that we want to see here. We can see all of them. So let me take a data which is a little different here. So now you can see that I have this data. When I give an OK, now it creates a pivot table for me automatically. And you can just bring in a report layout here and then add number formatting to the list here. So building, again, in real world scenario, there is a little chance that we use a recommended chart, but again, if it is a standardized reporting, the recommended chart will be the most used dimension, most used logics here. So recommended pivot chart or a pivot table that I can use here. So now I want to show how to add other logics called a report filter. So let me add a new pivot table for us and then put it in a brand new sheet. This time I'm going to add the region on the filter and then sales rep on the row and the sales on the column. So now we can see that we got all the region coming up here. If you want to get the report here, I can click this point, then I can select a particular list and you will get all the east data. And again, if I want to make them look even more better, so let me just reiterate our pivot table by tabular forms and then the number formatting. So I can add a pivot slices here. So now I'm going to go back here.
Incoming voice call.
And then I'm going to just check the region here and give an OK. So now I can just choose the dimension better. So I'm going to just click the north. I can see the north is coming up here. Click the south and then west. You can see my filters and my slices are playing a wonderful role. But what I want right now is my manager or person who handle my data wants a report for all the regions separately in a different sheet. This is where my pivot table will become a very powerful tool here when I started using the filter option here. So I'll go to the pivot table analysis list here, and then in the option button you can create a separate report for the filter page. So when I say show reports filter pages, now I have the region is coming into play. So when I click this, it will ask you a question. So would you like to break the report on 4 different sheets with all the region that I have here? So now I give an OK. Now I have sheet 5 where I have labeled my region wise sales is given here. When I give an OK here, then that gives you 4 more sheets before that called East, North, south, and so on. So now I have only three of them coming up here. I need to have the west also should come here. So as I saw the west here, what? Okay, so I got the west here. So automatically the other fields are coming up here automatically. So you can see this is the west region that I'm seeing here, and then I can see all the list. If I want to get the data properly, let me just reiterate this again. So let me delete the fields that I built earlier. And then I'm going to make this as all region. And then go back to my pivot table and pivot table analysis. And in the reports, I'm going to break that with multiple region. I'm going to give an OK. Now it breaks into 4 different regions because earlier it was a filtered in west, so it gave the other regions for us. Wherein if I keep the sheet in all region list, then when I extract it, that's going to extract me the region which is not selected here, and it shows you each and every region east separately, west north separately, south and west separately in this way. When I did it in the previous list, it only showed me east, north and south because I already have a report on west which I filtered earlier like this. So based on that, the report didn't show me the west, it showed me the other 3 regions that I have here. When I put them all in all region, then that makes my life a little more easy. So this is how we create a filtering of the report and report filter. I also showed you how to work with a slicer here, and we can see the difference between the slicers in this list effectively. So now I'm going to show you how to use the slicer and the filter in tandem. So in our previous data, when I built this list, so when I click this point, so now I have a slicer comes in place and I have a filter also. Now if I extract this data, so when I give a double click here, it's going to extract only east for me because I kept the report filter on top and then I gave the slicer as my fancy filter option, which allows me to filter out the data easily. Wherein if I wanted to do that in a different way, so if I don't have the filter here, and when I double click this, it's going to give you, even if I filter this to east, when I double click it, it's going to show you all the data of the same logic here. So now you can see that I can use that as a filtered based slicer, or I can use that in 2 different dimensions here. But again, it gives you all my list on one particular person here. When I do deal with the reporting as a filter here, and I can see that now when I extract this, so it's going to extract the report for the respective person. So this is how we can use a filter and a slicer in tandem here. And the most important part that I'm going to teach you next is called a timeline filter. So let me create one more report right now on the spot. So let me build Alt NVT, and then I'm going to add a new pivot table here. Again, I'm going to keep the region, the report, the sales rep, and the sales coming up here. And instead of using sales rep, if I use a date, that's where I can use the timeline beautifully. So let me just give this, group them, and when I try to group them, I think that it's giving you an error here because I have some data issue in this list. Let me just remove the filter out of the equation. Let me regroup it. Okay, right. I think that I have an issue in my date field. The dates are not proper with this list, I believe. Let me just convert this into a date. And then try to refresh this. Okay, I think that I'm not getting the right data here, so let me just take data which allows us to do things better. So let me go back to one of our data which we have earlier. So let me take this as a list and then put on a brand new sheet, add a date. Now the dates are coming properly for me. Now I can add the line item here. So I'm going to say line item revenue. Now I would like to put the data in a particular order. So I don't want a year and quarter, I want to see year and date function here. And when I expand them, all of them in one part. You can see each and every one comes in place. Now I will insert a timeline. When I click the timeline here, it inserts the list, and I'm going to just say I want to insert based on the dates. And given OK, that's going to give you a list here. Now we can see that I can either go by year, or I can go by quarter, or I can go by a month, and I can even go by days here. So you can do multiple lists on the timeline. Again, timeline works only on dates here, so don't try to do that in the other version or other dimension, which won't allow you to get it done. So if I want to extend this, I can extend it to multiple years, or I can reduce it to a lesser year. This way I can go back and forth to a list here, and I can choose one by one. So I can say I cannot pick up a particular quarter here. I want to pick all the quarters in a continuous manner. That's a disadvantage that I have when I do deal with a timeline. Again, timeline allows you to handle the data better. I can just swap this. Now I say quarter 2 to quarter 2 on the list here. So when I make this into a year quarter, and you can see that the timeline selects beautifully. That leaves the first quarter here and the last quarter, the last two quarters in the 2012. And then when I convert that into months, I can see that months are coming up again according to the selection of the data that I did here. So this is how we can play around with the timelines here. So with this, I'll end this video. In this video, we learn how to use a recommended pivot table, a chart, a report filter, and a report filter separately built when a filter is added, when filter is not added, how to use a slicer, how to use a timeline, and how we can make use of the slicer and filter in tandem. So I'll catch you up in the next video. In the next video, it's going to be even more interesting for us because we're going to create a new dimension in pivot. Thank you so much. Stay updated. Happy learning.